Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into a massive, rapidly expanding global boom right now, the export of Chinese special purpose vehicles. We're talking about the highly advanced machines that cities and industries all over the world literally rely on every single day. But getting these mechanical titans out of the factory and across the ocean, well, that's a highly complex technical journey. So we're going to break down that exact journey today, from the bare chassis all the way to the international port.
Just to give you an idea of the sheer scale we're dealing with here, let's look at the categories. We aren't talking about standard passenger sedans, no way. We're talking about lifting and construction behemoths, like truck-mounted cranes. We're talking sanitation trucks, fuel tankers, and highly specialized emergency vehicles like fire engines and mobile clinics. Exporting these units is vastly more complex than shipping a standard car, mostly because every single one of these vehicles is custom engineered for a highly specific heavy-duty task.
So here's our roadmap for today. 1. Building the ultimate machine. 2. Navigating Chinese regulations. 3. The pre-shipment testing gauntlet. And finally, 4. Heavy logistics and global shipping.
All right, part 1, building the ultimate machine, focusing on the dual-stage workflow.
You can kind of think of this manufacturing process like a high-stakes Lego set. Step 1 is all about the chassis. Major providers build the base frame and the engine, and the absolute key here is aligning that chassis with your destination country's specific emission standards. Then we move to step 2, upper structure integration. A completely different factory, known as the bodybuilder, installs the specialized equipment, and they aren't just bolting things on. They have to carefully calibrate to power takeoff so the engine can run the hydraulic pumps, they have to reinforce the subframe, and they have to perfectly engineer the center of gravity so a high-reach aerial bucket doesn't just tip the whole thing over. The specialized upper structure absolutely must click flawlessly into the base chassis.
Now this actually brings up a really fascinating mini-mystery. Who gets the VIN, the Vehicle Identification Number, when two completely different factories build one single truck? Well, the answer is that the original chassis manufacturer assigns the base VIN. Even if the bodybuilder comes in, makes extensive modifications, and is recognized as the final manufacturer, that original chassis VIN remains the primary identifier for everything from registration to future part sourcing.
Moving on to Part 2, navigating Chinese export regulations, or as it's better known, the bureaucratic gauntlet.
Okay, so the absolute crucial point here is understanding China's notice system. Every single vehicle produced in China must be listed in a registry issued by the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology. If a modified vehicle deviates from its approved original specs, say the dimensions or the axle load are even slightly off, it cannot be legally registered. This is a massive administrative roadblock for non-standard export units. And on top of that, not just anyone can export. You need a specific export license. That means verifying the manufacturer's creditworthiness, proving your after-sales capabilities, and securing individual licenses that detail every single VIN in the shipment.
And you know this extreme precision? It carries directly over to the paperwork itself through harmonized system or HS codes. Special vehicles usually fall under the 8705 category. Pinpoint accuracy here is literally everything. If you're a procurement manager and your documentation misclassifies a concrete mixer with continuous rotation mechanics as a crane lorry with hydraulic lifting capacities, you are looking at incredibly costly delays at customs. Accuracy is what prevents your multi-million-dollar investment from being impounded right at the border.
Then there's the strict double certificate requirement for high-risk equipment like pressure tankers. You absolutely need both a vehicle quality certificate and a special equipment inspection certificate. Let me connect this directly to your bottom line. If procurement managers miss either one of these certificates for a high-risk unit, that vehicle isn't going anywhere. It will just sit at the port gathering dust.
So let's say your paperwork is totally flawless, your HS codes are perfect. Can you just drive it onto a ship now? The answer is a hard no. Because before these machines are cleared to leave, they have to prove they actually work.
Which brings us to part 3, the pre-shipment testing gauntlet. It's time to prove the machine.
First up, we've got hydraulic pressure and load testing. Third-party inspectors or internal QC departments push those newly integrated Lego pieces we talked about to their absolute breaking point. They load up the cranes, they max out the mixers and the tankers, and they do this to ensure that the lifting equipment meets its rated capacity with absolutely zero tolerance for hydraulic leaks. After that, the vehicles undergo a serious 50 to 100 kilometer road test. And trust me, this isn't just a joyride. It's a harmonization drive to make absolutely sure the base chassis and the heavy upper structure are perfectly balanced and working together out on the road. For sensitive units like mobile clinics, ambulances, and command centers, they also undergo really strict waterproofing tests to make sure the internal electronics are totally safe from the elements. But here's the thing. Even if a vehicle passes every single physical test, there is one environmental mismatch that can ruin everything. Think about it. What happens if you export a state-of-the-art Euro 6 vehicle to a region with high sulfur diesel? Well, here is your crucial warning. If you fail to match the chassis to your local fuel standards, that high sulfur content is going to cause a complete and total diesel particulate filter failure. You will literally destroy the engine's emission system and effectively your entire investment. The buyer absolutely must verify local fuel quality beforehand.
All right, the final stretch, part 4, heavy logistics and global shipping. We're moving mountains here.
When it finally comes time to ship, procurement managers really have to weigh some strategic choices. On one hand, you have ROR, which stands for roll-on/roll-off. This is best for fully functional vehicles that can just drive directly onto the specialized ship, which protects them from sea spray. On the other hand, if your target market has massive import duties on finished vehicles, you might want to opt for SKD or CKD logistics. This means the vehicle is shipped in pieces inside standard 40-foot high cube containers. It completely beats the high import taxes, sure, but it does require you to have a local assembly facility ready to put it all together when it arrives. But what about those massively oversized units, like huge concrete pumps that simply won't fit inside a ship or a container? That's where breakbulk shipping comes in. Cranes literally lift these behemoths directly onto the exposed deck of a bulk carrier. And here's a wild detail. Because they are totally exposed to the open ocean, any exposed metal and hydraulic cylinders must be thoroughly coated in a specialized wax to prevent saltwater corrosion during the voyage. Yeah, they literally wax the machinery to survive the sea spray.
Oh, and I want to make a really quick note about the year 2019. Since 2019, the Chinese government has actually allowed the export of used commercial vehicles. So, if you're looking at the secondary market, just know that used special-purpose vehicles can be exported provided you pass a different set of mandatory third-party safety and environmental inspections.
As we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a strategic thought to chew on. Major Chinese manufacturers absolutely can customize these vehicles for right-hand drive markets, but because they are built to order, it's going to add to your lead time. So if you're managing an international supply chain, you have to ask yourself, is the slightly longer lead time for a custom right-hand drive chassis worth the long-term operational ease and safety in your target market? Navigating the special vehicle export process is a massive puzzle of engineering, bureaucracy, and logistics for sure, but mastering it unlocks immense operational capabilities for any global project. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.